As a reminder, we're taking TSI on the 8th and the 9th of May. That's coming up quicker than you think. In fact, graduation is coming up quicker than you think. As a general reminder, I can unlock credit recovery tests. Many of you have credit recovery that you need to do. So when you're done with your work for me, please ask me. Let's be productive. Let's get our stuff done. Nobody wants to be waiting until the very last minute and stressing because you don't know if you're going to graduate. And it is a very real thing. Students think that it can't happen to them, and it does every year. And it's sad to watch because somebody truly did not believe that they weren't going to graduate because they didn't get their stuff done, but it happens. But the good news is about TSI, if you don't pass TSI, you can still get your TSI waiver with the ACC final. So some of the stuff that we're doing today is directly off of like past ACC finals. And so I will do my best to prepare you for that. I find that students that aren't successful on TSI can often be successful on the ACC final, particularly those who show work, because the ACC final is not multiple choice. It's all open-ended. So I can give you partial credit. So if you are good at showing work, then I can give you partial credit. And many people tend to do a little better. Also for the TSI on the 8th and the 9th, we're going to take the TSI in here. And so on that day, you're going to have to make sure you bring a Chromebook. I don't care if it's your Chromebook. It can be your friend's Chromebook, but you're going to have to come with a Chromebook because you'll have to take the test. It's an online test. So you'll have to take it online, but you will need to show up with a Chromebook. It will be worth a quiz grade in here. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a test, actually. I think it's a test grade because we've been working up to this all year. And so it's a big deal. Some of you need to do really well on it. I also have TSI packets. And so if you know that you need to pass TSI and you want to do some extra practice, I have packets. And for the packets, I have answer keys on the back wall. So the packets are up here on this left table. They are pink. They are on the left. For the stuff that we're doing today, this is working with percentages. And for percentages, these are things that we need to know because we are shoppers. We go out to eat. We need to know how to tip people and we need to know how to buy stuff that's on sale. So finding percentages is something that's important. So to find the percent of something, first of all, it needs to be written as a decimal. So maybe we make ourselves a note. So when you are working with percentages, you must change to a decimal. Okay, we've got to change that percentage to a decimal. And when we do that, how many places do we move the decimal spot? 2 to the left or right? Okay, so the decimal is right here on the first one. I need to move it 2 places to the left. And when I do that, all I do is multiply the percent times whatever I want to find the percent of. For full credit on your worksheet today, you need to write down every single thing that you type in the calculator. If all you do is put down answers, I will not give you full credit. So when you put that 92 on your paper, I'm going to mark it off and I'm going to change that to a 60 or 70. So please make sure that you show me work. And so I'm going to go ahead and set up the next 2 just so that we can type them all in the calculator at the same time. The second problem, the decimal is here and I move it 2 spots. But when I move it, I have a hole. And so since I have a hole, I add a 0 there. And the third problem, if I move the decimal, it doesn't go all the way to the end, but that is okay. So I would like for you to take a moment and to type those in your calculator. For the first question, what did you get? Say that one more time. I agree. For the second one, what did you get? And for the third one? 90. So 90 is interesting because we started out with 60 and we ended up to what? Hmm?
Oh, did you change the percent for recording? Oh, never mind, I'm dumb.
I'm not, you're not dumb, but I'm not doing number 4. Um, you're not dumb, but just make sure that you add an extra 0. For the last one, because you are taking 150%, that's more than 100. So you're going to end up with more than you started with. This is pretty easy, right? Okay, this is a question directly off of the ACC final. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you, you can do actually the whole front page, but I'm going to give you time to work through as much of the front page as you can.
Thank you.
Very good. Okie dokie. So we're gonna skip down to the next section, 10, 11, and 12. Can I get 3 volunteers to go put one of those answers up on the board? Yeah, 10, 11, 12. Actually, any of them. 10 through 16, if anybody can put any of those up on the board. And please remember that this is all money, so everything needs to have a money sign. And make sure that when you go out there, you stamp your paper. I have the stamps on the front table. What about the next four? Can we get answers up to the next four? Good job, guys. Y'all did a good job. Good job. Y'all did awesome. Finding percents are not that bad. And like I said, that's a direct question at the ACC point. I want us all to be able to get that question. Right. Instead of a brain break, I decided to just show you some pictures because there's been things happening lately. I think I showed y'all a picture of my baby, but here she is. She's so cute. So this was her first Easter. She really slept through the whole thing, but she's precious anyways. So that is baby Rhaenyra. This is my granddaughter. And we like her. On to the back. So onto the back, this is where we needed the graphing calculator is for 21 through 24. Because those are a lot more difficult using the other calculator. But anyways, when you do the ACC final, you have a graphing calculator. So at the top, we're going to fill in this table. So this is a formula, and the formula is, it says A is equal to P, and then in parentheses 1 plus R over N, and that's all raised to the power of N times T. So A stands for the ending amount. And this is in dollars. And because it's money, we have 2 decimals. P stands for principal. And principal, so this principal is PLE, not PAL. PAL is like a principal of a school, and principal with a PLE is principal with money. Does anybody know what words are called that sound the same, but they're different words? What? So those are words that mean the same thing, but they're different words. These mean different things, but they sound the same. Those are opposites. They are homophones. Homophones, because they sound the same. So the principal is the starting amount. It's that starting money. R stands for your rate as a decimal. So the rate as a decimal is very important. So that's sometimes where we mess up, is making sure that the rate is a decimal. N, this is a funny idea, but I'm going to teach you how to figure it out. N is the number of times I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to say the number of compounds. The number of compounds in a year. And it's important because the time is in years when we deal with these problems. So it's the number of compounds in a year. We're going to talk about what compounds are. T is time in years. So these problems are in years. And as a reminder, I have highlighters up at the front. You're always welcome to use them. For word problems, it's useful to highlight your problems. So we are investing some money. So we're investing $25,000 into a savings account for 5 years. We've got a 6% interest. How much is in the account? If the account is compounded, or if the interest is compounded, and then we've got 4 different problems. We've got monthly, once a year, quarterly, or twice per year. So we're going to jot down what we know. So the 25,000 is what we're putting into the savings account. What does that stand for? Which of those things up at the top? What does the 25,000 stand for? It's one of those letters at the top. Very good. It's what we're starting with. So that is P. 5 years, what does that stand for? Time. 6% interest, what does that stand for? Rate, but we need to make sure that we change that to a decimal, so 0.06. And then monthly, once a year, quarterly, twice a year, those all help us figure out the N, or the number of compounds in a year. So I'm going to jot down next to each question what N is. So how many months are in a year? 12. So N is equal to 12. If I say once a year, then it's 1. Quarterly, think of quarters in a dollar. How many times does quarterly happen? 4, so jot that down next to 23. And twice a year is how many times? 2, so go ahead and jot that down for number 24. So think about dollars. How many quarters are in a dollar? So quarterly is 4. So first thing that we're going to do is just write down how we type this into our calculator. So it's kind of a big formula, and then you'll want to leave yourself a little space to write the answer. So to figure these out, the amount is going to be equal to what we're starting with, the principal, the P. And then we've got 1 plus, and this is a fraction, so it's the rate divided by the number of compounds, which is 12, raised to the power of the number of times you compound times the time, and the time is 5. For every problem, it's going to look the same. The only thing that changes from problem to problem is the number of times it compounds. So each time I rewrite this, everything is the same. The only thing that changes for 21, 22, 23, 24 is that the N is changing. So I'm going to go ahead and write down 22. I'm going to write down the formula first. And again, the only thing that's changing is that 2 spots where I have an N. So the way that we type this into our calculator, we're going to type it in exactly the way that we see it. And so these are the problems that you need to make sure you're typing it in, because we're going to have to type it in on the quiz and the test. So when we type this in, you pretty much do it the way you see it, 25,000, and then we're going to put parentheses. The parentheses are above the 8 and 9 button. And then to get up to do exponents, you have to press the button that looks like this. It's called a caret, and it's right underneath the clear button.
What?
To get up, to do your exponent, you have to use this button.
Okay.
It's called a caret. It's right underneath the clear button.
Do we type in stuff in parentheses?
Everything. You have to type in everything. Did anybody get an answer? That is correct. 33,721. This is money, so we're going to do 2 decimals. So I want to make sure that everybody knows how to type these in. So if you didn't type that one in correctly, or you didn't get that answer, please talk to people around you. Make sure we can type those in.
Huh.
Please make sure you can type these in and get the right answers. Is that what you got for once a year?
Yeah.
If you did not, you want to make sure that you know how to type these in. You're gonna have to type them in on the quiz, so gotta ask me, ask a friend. Okay, so. Wait a minute, this is again. Okay, we've got 0.06. Divided by 1, those hundreds, now we want to go up. And that's times 4 and 20, yeah. Very good. Any questions with these for the compound interest? Bless you. This is another question directly off of the ACC final, so we have to know how to type in for compound interest. I have more pictures. It was prom. My son was so handsome. So here are pictures from my son's prom. He's a senior at Cedar Ridge. It's very nice. We're going to move down to the bottom of the page. We've got another problem. And it's a word problem. It says that Nisa works in retail sales. Her salary is $600 plus a 15% commission on weekly sales. Write a function expressing the relationship between her wages and her weekly sales. So first we need to know, what are wages? Anybody tell me a word that I could replace wages with? What is that even describing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another word you could use is like salary. Yeah. What's another word that you could use? Or maybe not even just a word, like what does that mean? Does anybody have a job? What are your wages? What's that describing? Yes, how much you get paid. So anytime you see the word salary or wages, mark it out and say that that's just how much you get paid. That's just your pay. Okay. That's how much you get paid. First part of this problem, we have to write a function expressing the relationship between her pay and her weekly sales. Well, we could call weekly sales, we could just call that W's fine. For your pay, we can call that P. So to write a function, we could say that her pay is going to be equal to, so P, how much you get paid, your wages, we call that P. She gets $600 plus. So what operation is plus? Addition. So plus 15%. So remember, we got to change 15%. Anytime we deal with the decimal, it's got to be, sorry, anytime we deal with a percent, it has to be a decimal. Plus 15% on her weekly sales. So to figure out 15% of weekly sales, you have to multiply. So the first step is just writing an equation. So for the question at the bottom, question 27, 28, 27 is just writing an equation. And then it says, find her sales for the week. So we want to find W if we're given P. So we're going to set this up. So it tells us that we have P, and P is equal to 4,900. If we plug that in, we have 600 plus 15% of my weekly sales. We're going to solve for W. We've done a ton of problems like this year. We're just solving an equation for W. So the first thing that we need to do is try and get everything away from the W. So we can move this 600. It's a positive 600. So when I move it over, I'm going to have to subtract 600. Please use your calculator and subtract 600. We get 4,300. If I am multiplying by 0.15, how do I get it to the other side? What do I have to do? I need to divide by 0.15. This is talking about money. So I need to make sure that my weekly sales, when I put my answer, I have a dollar sign because it's money. Also, dollar signs go at the beginning. So dollar sign goes at the beginning, not at the end. What did y'all get? Did you do 0.15? $4,300 divided by 0.15? I think your decimal is off a little bit. I'll come over there and look at what you typed in. This is what we should have gotten when we typed it in. Let me double check. Oh, okay. So if you type it in here, then you can see everything that you type in. And since we're able to use this on the ACC final, you can use it in here. All right. You have a few problems that we need to finish up on this worksheet before we grade it.